I've come to the Senate floor tonight to ring the alarm bells. We're in the most perilous moment, the biggest threat to our republic since the Civil War. President Trump is shredding our Constitution.
Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley just stepped off the Senate floor after speaking for more than 22 hours.
He voiced his opposition to President Trump and what he calls authoritarian actions in Portland. Fox 12's Julia Lopez joins us now live. Julia, you were monitoring this speech. What can you tell us?
Well, here's a look at one of the longest Senate speeches in history. Merkley began at 6 p.m. Eastern time yesterday. The Democratic senator spent nearly a full day holding the floor amid a historic government shutdown.
I'm proud to be colleagues with all of you in this effort. Thank you very much, and I yield the floor.
Merkley's team told us the senator planned to speak for as long as he was able, they say, to draw attention to the authoritarianist nature of Trump's policies. Again, he stood for 22 and a half hours straight, only taking brief breaks to allow for questions and comments from other senators like Maria Cantwell and Patty Murray from Washington. To demonstrate what he calls a shift from democracy, Merkley pointed to the Trump administration's response to the scene at Portland's ICE facility.
President Trump wants us to believe that Portland, Oregon, in my home state, is full of chaos and riots, because if he can say to the American people that there are riots, he can say there's a rebellion. And if there's a rebellion, he can use that to strengthen his authoritarian grip on our nation.
After he stepped off the floor, we asked Senator Merkley what he'd say directly to the people of Oregon.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm so proud of the people of Portland who have resisted the temptation to engage when they have been shoved or pepper sprayed, and they've instead chosen to protest with joy and whimsy.
Merkley's speech was just 2.5 hours away from the longest in Senate history. That was a 25-hour filibuster by Senator Cory Booker in April of this year. Again, this is happening during the second longest government shutdown in history, and Merkley's speech held up the 12th vote on the House-passed resolution that could reopen the federal government. That vote happening now. Reporting live in studio, Julia Lopez, Fox 12 Oregon.